I am your hostess with the mostest, Hillary of tarotbyhillary.com, professional tarot reader, demystifying the mystical and putting you in touch with the most beautiful of gifts, your own intuition. So welcome to this week's episode. Yes, it is not 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is around 6:45. Little bit late, going from my day job to my night job as a tarot reader. And I think it's pretty freaking ironic and pretty funny because tonight's episode is all about boundaries. Setting those boundaries, keeping those boundaries, maintaining those boundaries, assessing those boundaries that may not work for you any longer or may work for you. And of course, we're always going to be talking about the astro weather going on right now because, excuse my husband there, burping or hiccuping. I don't know what the heck he was doing there. He's got his headphones in, so he can't hear me. What was I saying? We're always going to come at some of these topics. This is a little bit more of a mundane topic, but I'll always put a mystical spin on it because that's just how my mind works. So if you think that the topic of boundaries cannot apply to the mystical arts or mystical spiritual entrepreneurs, oh, my friend, you are so wrong. In fact, there's a lot of ways in which our boundaries are tested in this line of work. And if you don't quickly discover where your lines are, your business might suffer for it and you might burn out more quickly than not and not be able to sustain a business long term because you haven't set those boundaries and kept those boundaries. So I promise there is a spiritual element to boundary setting. And for those of you who have done shadow work and have expressed boundaries only for those boundaries to be trampled upon, you realize that there is a spiritual aspect to that process as well. So, but we always do the astro weather at the top of the episode, and we will do a weekend forecast at the end of the episode. So if you're here looking for a free reading, this is not the space for it, but we do have a reading for the collective at the end of the episode with the weekend forecast. So if that interests you, you can go ahead and stay tuned to the end of the episode, okay? Whew, all right, that's a lot of housekeeping. And let's get started with the astro weather, okay? So I am a professional tarot reader. I know enough astrology to be dangerous. I know you guys are probably sick of hearing me say that, but I always want to give that caveat as I start talking about astrology, because then I don't want people coming at me going, you have no idea what you're talking about. It's true, I don't. Not for astrology, but I do seek help of expert astrologers. So when I pull the astro weather, it is coming straight from an astrologer that I trust, Teresa Reed, aka the Tarot Lady, out of her wonderful astrology work that she does, and the astrology subscription service for entrepreneurs called the Astro Biz Digest. Now, this is a yearly subscription. It's $99 for the year, and you get all of the astrology that you need for your business right delivered to your inbox every month and every week. Though it is geared towards entrepreneurs, I find it very helpful just in my personal life to read up on the astrology. So yes, I am an entrepreneur, but personally, her Astro Biz Digest has helped me as well. So let me pull that up for you guys. While I'm doing so, go ahead and get some water, pull up a chair, pull up your favorite beverage, and let me put myself on a little timer here and pull this up for you guys. Hold, please. And in that time, I was able to pull up the Astro Biz Digest. So again, this is from Teresa Reed, aka the Tarot Lady. If you're interested in finding out more about her work or more about her astrology, yes, she is the Tarot Lady, but she knows a heck of a lot about astrology as well. You can check out her website, www.thetarotlady.com. Don't go there right now, though. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on the astro weather. So for today, Friday, please remember that these forecasts are, when we talk about time designations, they are Eastern Standard Time. And excuse my husband for his background burps, which he is not aware of because he is wearing headphones. You should have seen the look on his face. He did a little like, whoop, like a little naughty boy. So for Friday today, the moon will be conjunct Venus at 2:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you had trouble sleeping last night, you might be up at this hour churning out stories, song lyrics, or web content. Mental stimulation remains fired up all day. While it may be hard to get any rest, you can certainly make significant progress in your writings. This day would also be stellar for essential meetings, provided you have enough caffeine on hand. Shut things down at 5:14 p.m. when the moon squares Neptune and goes void. You don't get jack done tonight. In fact, you may be ready to call it a day before this time. That has been absolutely 100% true for me. It's part of the reason why I was late to start up the episode tonight. Minor aspects in the evening bring out big mouths and blowhards. Hit the sack and let them spew their hot air online without your input. Power day for Gemini, weekday for Sagittarius. So again, right now I'm giving you the Astro Biz Digest, but I'm giving that to you currently it's 6:52 Eastern Standard Time. So all of the negative aspects of the day have already passed. However, she is saying in this particular, for the astrology of the day, that it's probably a good idea to go to bed early tonight. So I'm going to keep that in mind. All right. For Saturday and Sunday, Saturday is quiet as a mouse. The Cancer moon lights up the sky beginning at 10:24 a.m. This puts an emo vibe to the weekend. Everyone is a bit more sensitive than usual, so please be kind to yourself and to others. Clients may need a little extra TLC. Remember, this is an entrepreneurial spin to astrology, but I think we can safely say that people will need a little extra TLC this weekend. Give what you can, but make sure you don't forget to tend to your own needs. Self-care should be mandatory all weekend long. Sunday finds the moon in a harsh square to Mars at 8:38 a.m. This brings out shit disturbers, aggressive types, and folks who don't respect the word no. Take Sunday off and rest up if you can. Work can wait until Monday. Really, spend your day with the family instead. Both days are power days for Cancer and weekdays for the sign of Capricorn. So that is the astro weather for today and for this weekend. Please keep that in mind. Take it with a grain of salt. If it doesn't affect you exactly the way that I'm saying, it's because that you have a natal chart as well. You have your own astrology going on from the natal chart, which is a screenshot of the sky or the stars the moment that you were born at the location that you were born in. That's how the skies looked, and that's where we take our natal chart information from. So our natal chart combined with the astrology for today will give you a much more accurate picture of how this esoteric information that you feel is not specific to you may be affecting you specifically. Sound good? Okay. All right. And if you are here watching live or watching the replay, go ahead and give a shout out in the comments section. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I'd love to hear it. So let us talk a little bit about boundaries. And I'm not going to go really in depth into this topic because we all know that we need to set boundaries, right? We all know that that when we don't set boundaries, that's when expectations are foisted on us, or we foist expectations onto other people. It gets really messy really quickly. And not setting boundaries is almost an unkind thing to do rather than a kind thing to do. So let us talk about boundaries, okay? And if people have any thoughts on the subject, if you are watching live, go ahead, put that in the comments section as well. So I'm gonna grab a book that's been really helping me in understanding boundaries. Ooh, let me not knock that over. Especially regarding being a leader. So this is a book that I would highly recommend picking up. Please keep in mind, it is written by Brené Brown. So if you are not a Brené Brown person, don't pick up this book. It's probably not right for you and you're probably not going to like it. But if you already do vibe with Brené Brown and you've enjoyed her other books or her other writings or her TED Talk that she put up on, I think it was on YouTube, and then also there was a special that she did on Netflix. If you like what she has to say, you're probably going to like this book, especially if you are in a leadership position, because it's called Dare to Lead, Brave Work, Tough Conversations, Whole Hearts. So I'm probably going to cite from this book a little bit when we're talking about boundaries. Didn't really plan on citing from this book, but I'm feeling called to do so. So I'm going to take a sip of my beer, because it was just that kind of day. So the reason that boundaries are so important, especially when you do the kind of spiritual work or metaphysical work that I do, which is tarot reading, or even if you're a psychic or a Reiki practitioner, or a rune slinger or a crystal ball gazer, you still need boundaries, because if you're going to be in business, especially if you're just giving readings willy-nilly and you're not expecting to charge, then fine. I guess you don't have to have as many boundaries, or you don't need to have your boundaries intact. However, the small span of time that I did readings for free over email, I ran into a lot of trouble because there was a lot of demands, there was a lot of misbehavior, there was a lot of entitlement. And the reason why is because I didn't set any boundaries about it. I thought I'm just like, oh, I'm going to go and read for people and I'm going to help people. And sure, I did that, but I often did that to the detriment of my own space, to my own self-care, to my own well-being, because I didn't set up the proper boundaries or containers for me to be able to do my best work. And I was often put in compromising positions and having to say no to people who expected me to drop everything and to do a reading for them at 3 a.m, which don't work. Another burp from the peanut gallery over there. I'm going to have to be quicker on this episode. Otherwise, you're going to hear that a lot. But yeah, you can't do this work without having some boundaries in place. And I don't mean boundaries in such a way where it's just like, oh, I only do readings at the full moon and I only take on select clients and da-da-da. Like, you don't have to be stodgy about your boundaries, but you do have to have them. And oftentimes you find out what your boundaries are when people cross them and you don't realize that that's your boundary. So Boundaries can be very much a trial and error situation where you don't realize that that boundary is there for you until someone crosses it. And then you have to take a step back and say, oh, was there an expectation there that I didn't realize? And now I have to clarify those expectations. And that is what boundary setting is all about, is showing or setting those expectations in such a way that that becomes then the boundary, where if someone were to ask you for a health reading and you've already clearly stated in your policies that you don't do health readings, that's a boundary, hon. And if you come to find that you've been doing, I don't know, love readings, and you realize that you really don't like doing them, or they're not your strength, and you realize you're much better suited doing career readings, that's the time to be setting a boundary around it and being like, this is what I'm good at, and this is what I want to focus on. But then when you're setting that boundary, or you have set that boundary, you realize this is a boundary I want to set. Guaranteed, there will be someone that comes along within the next half an hour to hour to test that boundary immediately to see if you are serious. So keep this in mind when you're setting boundaries. You don't have to, like, just because that happens doesn't mean that that's not the right boundary. It's just coming up to ask you if you're serious on that boundary, or it's telling you, do you need to be stricter with that boundary, or do you need to be more flexible with that boundary? And really, it comes along with a feeling and with an intuition as well. If you're feeling threatened, or if you're feeling hurt, that may help you to create a better boundary. Even if you don't know where that feeling is coming from, I would say to sit down and examine that feeling and see how you can reset your boundary to be stronger, and also to have the result be not hurting your feelings and not hurting other feelings when you set that boundary. Now, I'm not saying when you set that boundary and you enforce that boundary that people may or may not be hurt by that, but that's way more about them than it is about you. So remember the adage that you can't please everyone, you can only please yourself. Remember how you work best. Remember what is and is not a deal breaker for you, because everyone has boundaries, but not everyone has the same boundaries. So keep that in mind when you're boundary setting, that your boundaries may look completely different than mine, and that's completely okay. And keep in mind, once you set a boundary, and if someone comes up to challenge that boundary, that's completely normal. In fact, you should expect it. So let me go to the tape here. So one of the things that I wanted to quote from this book about boundaries, again, this is Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. It's pretty freaking big here, and hopefully you can see it. Clear is kind, unclear is unkind. So in setting boundaries, you're doing people and yourself a kindness by setting boundaries, because clear is kind. I swear, I have more notes. And let me know if you have any questions while I'm searching through this. So another thing about boundaries is you're not going to get them right the first time around. And just like there's a lot of people that sometimes come to me for a reading that are recovering people pleasers. And so knowing that and knowing when you're setting boundaries, if you're new to setting boundaries, you're going to stumble a little bit because you're beginning. And that's true of any type of beginner. So just know that there is a capacity to fail there, but to do it anyway and keep going. So if it's pretty simple. If we are brave often enough, we will fall. Daring is not saying I'm willing to risk failure. Daring is saying I know I will eventually fail and I'm still all in. So don't be afraid to fail because you will. But keep going when you're setting boundaries. Here it is. I knew I would find it. Thanks for sticking with me. So, about boundaries. Remember, I'm quoting from Brené Brown here. Boundaries is a slippery word. We should always be clear about our intention, understand the limits of vulnerability in the context of roles and relationships, and set boundaries. Boundaries is a slippery word, but I love how my friend Kelly Ray Roberts makes it simple and powerful. She's an artist, and several years ago she wrote a blog post about how people can and can't use her copyrighted work. The post had two lists, what's okay and what's not okay. It was crystal clear and completely captured what had emerged from the data we collected on effective boundary setting. Today, we teach that setting boundaries is making clear what's okay, what's not okay, and why. So if you take anything away from this free workshop, take that quote away. Today, we teach that setting boundaries is making clear what's okay, what's not okay, and why. Very, very simple, but takes a lifetime to master, right? And then regarding vulnerability, which Brené Brown writes about a lot, that's what she's kind of like known for, vulnerability and shame research. Vulnerability minus boundaries is not vulnerability. It's confession, it's manipulation, it's desperation, or shock and awe, but it's not vulnerability. Let me find some more gems in here, if there's more, but hopefully I think that drives home the point about boundaries more so than anything else that I could be saying tonight. And I'm pretty sure that was the salient point that I wanted to make. No, I think that's it. Yep, I think that's it. Anyway, I highly recommend it. Very good book, Dare to Lead by Brené Brown. There is also another book that I think is completely on boundaries, which I'm going to go ahead and look up real quick. Actually, I don't know if she has a book, but I just found an article on this called A Tough Love Manifesto on Money, Boundaries, and Business. So this is Barry Tesler. Oh, there's the book. Okay. Well, she wrote The Art of Money, but I believe she's also done quite a bit of good work on boundary setting as well. So I'm going to share that article after the episode is over, of course, but you can find that. Actually, I'll just share it here, but don't go anywhere, because otherwise, if you go anywhere, you'll miss out on the weekend forecast, my friend. Nope, I'm not seeing it come up. Let me see if I can share it in here. Uh-oh. Can't see it come up. Well, you'll have to wait until the end of the episode and when I'm done recording, and I'll share that link with you then. So I hope this workshop is helpful for you guys about boundary setting. I think it's really, really important. And I wanted to end it on a positive note, because remember when I said setting that boundary, you're going to have someone testing it right away. But here's the upside of doing that. Sometimes when you set a boundary, you'll get results in a positive way as well. For example, the other day, I had decided that I'm not going to chase after someone's friendship anymore, that I was just going to let things go and let things be what it is. They know where to find me. It was basically my thought, that if they want to reconnect with me, they know where to find me. Within a few hours, that person was standing on my doorstep and was just in the area. So that's the upside of boundaries. And it doesn't, like tarot, for example, no tarot card is wholly positive or wholly negative. It is what you make of it. It's always the context. So try and think of boundary setting as a glass half full instead of half empty when you're going to set boundaries. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. And let's move into the weekend forecast. All right. Let us go with, let's not do a tarot card tonight. Let us do an oracle card from the Work Your Light Oracle deck. Nope, there's a couple of cards that want to come out here. Let me push them back in and see if they come out again. Want to be our weekend forecast? What do we most need to know for this weekend? Okay. I'm going to have to look up the interpretation, because an oracle card is not the same structure as a tarot deck. Tarot deck is 78 cards. An oracle card deck can be as many or as few cards as the creator decides. So it doesn't have a specific structure the way tarot does. Okay, so this is an activation card. Okay, so this weekend's forecast is Keepers of the Earth. You are not alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you. Isn't that pretty? And the Work Your Light Oracle deck is by Rebecca Campbell with artwork by Danielle Noel, who also did the Moonchild Tarot and the Star Child Tarot. So, from the companion book, you are so supported. You do not stand alone. You have a magnificent team of helpers, both in this world and of the earth, who are here to help you every step of the way. Call upon them for assistance. They are here to help. The Keepers of the Earth acknowledge the work that you have done already and are ready to work through you. They bow at your feet and thank you for wanting to stand for them, to devote your life to protecting the earth in your unique way. It is time to increase your capacity to receive support in the physical realm. This can come in the form of financial abundance, acts of service from strangers, or people flocking to help you and your work. The only thing that is stopping you right now is your capacity to receive support. You deserve to be rewarded for the work that you are doing. You do not need to go it all alone. Call upon the keepers of the earth to help you and your mission. Open your heart and your mind to receiving more than you ever thought possible. What kind of support do you need? Call it in right away. So you want to repeat after me. And so in the replay, you can go ahead and pause this and use this as much as you want to. Use the activation. I am open to receiving a whole new level of support for my life and my work, and I call it in now. And you can include any other specific requests at this time too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So that is your weekend forecast for this weekend, Keepers of the Earth, from the Work Your Light Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell and Daniel Noel. And I think it's around 30 minutes in. I think we are done with this week's episode of Tarot by Hilary Live. Thank you all so much for watching. And let me pull that up for you. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this particular workshop on boundaries helpful, or the astro weather helpful, or the weekend forecast helpful, please go ahead and share. I would so appreciate it. And remember that this series of workshops and episodes happen every single Friday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here, both on my Facebook page and on my YouTube channel. Please go ahead and subscribe to both if you are so inclined. Wherever you're seeing this video, please subscribe so you can see more, okay? And I think that does it. If you would like a reading from me, you can totally book one at my website, tarotbyhilary.com. That is Hilary with one L. If you use two L's, you're not going to find me. You're going to find somebody else. I am available for readings over the phone, over Skype, and over email, because we are still going through this pandemic. We will get through it all together. But to be on the safe side, that is how I'm offering my services at this time, so that in the future we can all come together in person again. But not right now. We can still connect over the internets. Energy is energy. All right, that'll do it. I have been your host, Hilary, professional tarot reader, demystifying the mystical and putting you in touch with the most beautiful of gifts, your own intuition. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I will see you same time, same channel, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.